Crafting the perfect cold call script. Tips and examples. Cold calling isn't dead. Bad scripts are. Let's be honest. Most cold call scripts fail because they sound like a corporate monologue or a generic pitch that could sell anything. Buyers are busier, screening unknown numbers harder, and they can detect call center energy in seconds. If your script doesn't earn attention fast, you won't get a second chance. Cold calling still works when you do it like a modern outbound team, not like it's 2009. Decision makers still take meetings from proactive sellers. Studies show 78% of decision makers have booked appointments from cold calls, and 82% of buyers at least occasionally accept meetings from sellers who reach out first. The opportunity is real. The bar is just higher. The difference usually isn't more dials or better talkers. It's whether your team has a repeatable call framework that earns permission, uncovers the right problems, and asks for one clear next step. In this guide, we'll walk through how we build cold call scripts as a flexible map your SDRs can use tomorrow, whether you run an in-house team or partner with a cold calling agency for cold calling services at scale. Why scripting matters more than ever in B2B. Cold outreach used to be a pure numbers game. Today, the math is unforgiving. The average cold call connection rate is about 16.6%, so only roughly 1 in 6 dials even gives your script a chance to work. And it takes 18+ calls on average to reach a single prospect, which means your team needs consistency across a full cadence, not just a great first call. Even when you do connect, converting that conversation into a meeting is tougher than it used to be. Industry data shows an average dial-to-meeting success rate of 2.3% in 2025, down from 4.82% in 2024. That drop is exactly why scripting is a revenue lever. A small improvement in connect-to-meeting rate compounds across thousands of dials. A strong script creates a baseline your leaders can coach and your team can measure. When every SDR follows the same core structure, you can run meaningful A/B tests, fix broken transitions, and improve performance by script version instead of guessing. That's how top teams turn average results into 10% plus meeting rates, usually with better targeting, better call flow, and better coaching, not with louder product pitches. Think call map, not movie script. The best SDRs don't read scripts word for word, they use them as a call map. We recommend a modular framework, a permission-based opener, a one-sentence relevance hook, a simple agenda, 3 to 5 discovery questions, 1 or 2 proof stories, and a close that asks for 1 micro-commitment. This keeps calls consistent enough to coach while still sounding human. Your script also has to match your multi-channel messaging. If your calls sound like one company and your emails sound like another, prospects won't connect the dots. The strongest outbound sales agency playbooks reuse the same ICP pains, proof points, and language across phone, cold email, and LinkedIn outreach services, so the buyer hears a consistent story everywhere. Finally, treat targeting as part of the script, even if it's not spoken. A great talk track can't rescue a bad list, which is why many B2B teams pair scripts with better data, intent signals, and B2B list building services. When the list is right, the rep can be specific. When the rep is specific, the prospect stays on the line. The first 60 seconds: permission, relevance, and a problem. Your opener has one job: earn 30 to 60 seconds without sounding pushy. The simplest structure is who you are, a one-sentence reason tied to their role, and a permission question. Mind if I take 30 seconds to share why I called, and you can tell me if it's relevant? Works because it respects their time and reduces resistance while keeping you in control of the next beat. Avoid the two most common mistakes we see teams make: reading paragraph-long monologues and leading with a product pitch. Prospects shouldn't have to do mental math to figure out why they should care, and they'll tune out if you start with, "We're a leading platform that..." Lead with the business problem your ICP already feels, then earn the right to explain how you solve it. Your script should also change by attempt number. Call number 1 is a clean introduction. Calls number 2 and 3 should acknowledge you've been trying to reach them, and calls number 4 and 5 can use a close the loop frame to earn a quick decision. This matters because about 25% of opportunities in a multi-touch cadence come specifically from the 4th and 5th call attempts. So late touch scripting is not optional if you want a consistent pipeline. A cold call script should be a map that keeps reps calm and consistent, not a monologue that makes them sound like a robot. Discovery that earns the meeting without turning into an interrogation. Once you have permission, your job is to diagnose, not to present. Winning B2B cold calls stay interactive. You ask a question, you listen, you reflect back what you heard, and you ask one deeper follow-up. 3 to 5 well-chosen discovery questions are usually enough to confirm there's a real problem, clarify urgency, and understand what better would look like. Keep discovery tied to outcomes the buyer cares about: pipement quality, conversion, cycle time, forecast accuracy, and team capacity, rather than feature checklists. When a prospect says, "Just send me an email," treat it as a brush-off and respond with a small, qualifying question that keeps the conversation alive. You can still agree to email them, but you're aiming to earn one next step, not to get parked in an inbox. The close should be simple and time-bound, a 15 to 30-minute conversation to unpack fit. Avoid offering multiple CTAs like demo, deck, workshop, or webinar, because it invites the prospect to choose the lowest commitment option and disappear. If you need a fallback, keep it narrow. Confirm the right email, send a short note, and ask for a specific time to follow up. Bake objection handling into the script. Don't bolt it on later. Most teams treat objections like a separate document, which is why reps freeze when they hear the same brush-offs every day. Instead, build your top objections directly into the call flow and train a consistent response pattern. Label the objection, empathize, reframe to value, then ask a calibrated question. The goal isn't to win an argument, it's to reopen discovery or reduce the ask to something the buyer can say yes to. For example, "We already have a vendor," shouldn't trigger a feature battle. It should trigger a comparison question that reveals gaps: what they like, what they'd change, and what success metrics matter. No budget can become a timing and priority conversation. Not interested often means not relevant yet, which is usually a targeting issue, a relevance issue, or an opener issue, not a reason to abandon scripting discipline. This is also where script iteration becomes a competitive advantage. If the same 2 objections end most calls and your script never changes, you're guaranteeing flat results. High-performing SDR agencies and B2B cold calling services teams tag objections, review them weekly, and update the specific lines that are losing. Then they coach to the updated language until it becomes second nature. Coach to conversation metrics, not just activity. A perfect script in a doc doesn't matter if your operating system rewards dials instead of conversations. We recommend dashboards built around connect rate, connect to meeting rate, and held meeting rate, tracked by rep and by script version. When you can see performance by talk track, coaching becomes specific and repeatable instead of subjective. Weekly call reviews are the fastest way to improve. Recording and reviewing 3 to 5 calls per rep each week is enough to catch patterns. Weak permission openers, sloppy transitions into discovery, feature dumps, or closes that sound hesitant. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for the few moments that predict whether the call becomes a meeting. AI can help, but only if it's grounded in real calls and real outcomes. With roughly 75% of B2B companies using AI in cold calling by 2025, the winners use it to surface objection trends, summarize calls, and suggest clearer phrasing, not to generate generic scripts that ignore your ICP. When AI supports disciplined testing and coaching, it accelerates learning instead of creating noise. Next steps. Build in-house or partner to move faster. If you're building internally, start with the one script framework for your primary ICP and roll it out across the team before you experiment. Then create variants by attempt number and run small tests. One new opener, one new close, one new objection response. You'll get better results faster by improving a single system than by letting every rep freestyle. If you don't have the bandwidth to build, test, and coach weekly, sales outsourcing can be the fastest path to predictable meetings. A strong sales development agency brings a trained cold calling team, proven frameworks, and the operational discipline to run multi-channel sequences that align calls with a cold email agency motion and LinkedIn touches. The right outsourced sales team doesn't just dial. They run an iterative program that improves as it learns. At SalesHive, we build cold calling scripts as measurable systems, designed to work across cadence steps, channels, and buyer moods. Then, refine them based on what the data and call recordings actually say. If you're evaluating cold calling companies or a B2B sales agency to accelerate pipeline, look for transparent reporting, script versioning, and a clear plan for coaching and iteration. That's how you turn tough baseline odds into consistent meetings, even when averages sit around 2.3% dial to meeting across the market.